So about a month ago, I had a 3-day weekend off of school. So with that time, I decided to make a video game. Around this time, I've been playing quite a bit of Vampire Survivors, so I just decided to make a game that was like Vampire Survivors. The first thing I did was make a list of what needed to be in the game, and I made sure to only keep it essential as I had only 3 days to work on this project. The important things I decided to include were length of the game, weapons, upgrades for those weapons, and characters to go along with weapons, as well as enemies, because you need to kill something. So I opened up Sprite and drew some placeholder art for the character and enemies. After throwing the sprites in engine, I got player movement working, and then started focusing on enemy spawning. Since in Vampire Survivors, enemies spawn in waves, depending on what time it is, I decided to emulate that with a wave system of my own, where every 15 seconds, a new wave starts, spawning a fresh batch of enemies. The game will do this for about 5 minutes, or until you die, which is why the tagline of the game is 5-minute fatality, because I thought it sounded cool. The next thing I did was make an upgrade system so you would get more powerful as the game went on. I started this by creating a little slash animation for a sword attack, and came up with ideas for upgrades. The sword's upgrade path that I settled on for the first level was initially starting with one slash in front of the player, and then the second level, the slash would get faster, and then the third level, you get an additional slash behind you. I then made it so enemies can drop XP upon death, and the player levels up after passing a certain threshold of XP. The game would then pull up a menu showing you what you can upgrade, you select an upgrade, and then it goes back to gameplay. At this point, I was already in the groove for making weapons, so I decided to make 2 more while I was still in the groove. The second weapon I made was a set of 3 talisman that the player character would throw out periodically, and as you leveled up the talisman, the character would throw them out faster and faster. The third weapon I made was stars that would orbit around the player, providing protection. And as you upgrade these, it starts from 1 star, goes to 2, and then 4, providing protection basically at all times as long as they're active. After making the weapons, I created an upgrade tree that would display weapons on the upgrade menu, and I added flavor text for all the upgrades so you knew what they did. During this time, I also added a health upgrade, because I thought it'd be helpful. After finishing the upgrade system, I decided to design characters around a specific weapon that they would start with. For the sword, I made a knight who I named Seven. For the talisman, I made a priestess named Rose, and for the stars, I made Gabriel from Ultrakill. He does not stay Gabriel from Ultrakill. After throwing their character art into the game, I made it so that they spawned with their respective weapon, and that their secondary weapon could not be their primary weapon. On the topic of secondary weapons, I decided that every time you played the game, you'd get the primary weapon from the character you chose, and a randomly selected secondary weapon, just to make it easier for me to make within the 3-day time limit. After I finished setting up characters starting with their respective weapons, I decided to work on more enemies. As up to this point in development, there had only been a slime and a goblin, both green. So I drew up these spider and skull enemies, and did the classic trick of changing the enemy's color palette to indicate that it is a stronger version of the enemy. I also drew up this golem in tandem with the token Nintendo hand boss to use as a boss enemy. After drawing up all these new enemy sprites, I threw them in engine. I just hit my microphone. I threw them in engine and created waves of enemies that would last all 5 minutes of the game. At this point, the main gameplay loop was complete, but now I had to work on the menus and audio just to polish the game out. I started off making menus because I knew it would be the most time-consuming process, with having to draw a few more icons for the upgrade menu. So I created the main menu, the pause menu, the upgrade menu, and the game over and game win screens. I used SFXR to make all the sound effects, and then I used FL Studio to make all the music for the game. All one song. And with that, the game is finished. It'll be up on itch.io, you can download it from there for free. There will be a link in the description if you so wish to. I'm planning on updating the game with a few more characters and weapons, so if you have any ideas for those, leave them in the comments. And last but not least, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and comment what your favorite part of this video was. Thank you